Okay, page 2. Based on the graph below, please find the x-intercepts, the y-intercept, the line of symmetry, the vertex, the stretch. Write the equation for the graphs in factored form and standard form. Okay. So I have made this thing that actually you don't need to know all of it, but it's going to be really helpful more for Module 3. And this tells how to go in between the different forms and what the forms are. I will probably post it to Canvas. Where am I? Here we go. Okay, so let's see here. The x-intercepts, where does this graph cross the x-axis? That would be the 2, 0, and -2, 0. My y-intercept looks like it would be 0 over and 4 down. My line of symmetry is right up the middle at 0. So here's x is 0, right? This is x is 1, that's x is 6, that's x is -4. The vertex is 0, -4. The stretch, well, I'm going 1 over and 1 up. Okay, so I just like to keep track of it in the table. Okay, 1, 1. And then when I go 2 over, what happens? I go 2 over and 4 up. What about 3? I go 3 over and 9 up. So remember, if this number is just getting squared, a is equal to 1. If it was going like, you know, these numbers doubled, like 2, 8, 18, a would be 2. If it went to -2, -8, -18, a would be -2. Standard form and factored form. Factored form is, so we could go back and look at what factored form is here on that thing I drew up. So factored form, that's at the top here, and it is this, okay, where the x-intercepts are p and q. All right. Ooh, hold on. Okay, I'm trying to erase that circle. There we go. Okay, so what are the x-intercepts? The x-intercepts are -2 and 2. So this would be y is equal to x minus 2 and x plus 2, and has an a value of 1. Now you don't have to write that 1 in there if you don't want to. All right, so we know here that y is 0 and y is 0. So like, what would make that 0? -2. What would make that 0? +2. Easy enough. Now we got to get it into standard form. So here's where that little graphic that I drew up kind of comes in handy. And it will more next chapter, but okay. This is how you get from one form to another. So here's factored form there at the top, and we want to take it to standard form. So that means you have to follow this arrow right here. How do we get from factored form to standard form? And it says FOIL. So I have to FOIL what we just did. So that would be first, and then outer, inner, and last. And then the 2 x's go away, and I'm left with y equals x squared minus 4. Okay? If you don't know how to FOIL, I highly recommend looking that up on YouTube. Now, just to show you what this all means and how you can check your answer, if that's the answer, I'm going to plug in a point, okay? If I plug in this point right here, which is the point 3, 5, I can't tell you how much plugging in a point helps on all tests, okay? So when I plug in 3, I better get 5. Is that true? 3 squared is 9, and 9 minus 4 is 5. So I know I have the right answer. 14, x-intercepts. Well, what's that? That's 4, 0. I would recommend pausing the video and trying this on your own instead of just copying. And then -6, 0. And then the y-intercept is down here. That would be 0 over and 8 down. And the line of symmetry, well, what's this? What's x equal right there? It equals -1. What's the vertex? What point is that? Well, that to me looks like it is going to be -1, right? Because we go this many 1, and then we got to go down. And we got to go down. The question is, you know, how many down do we go? Well, when I'm eyeballing it, it looks like it's going to be -8.5. Okay, so I'm going to go down -8.5. Okay, looks good. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Okay, let's there's a way to be sure about this, and I'm going to get to that after we do a couple things. Okay, so let's talk about the stretch. So if I go 1 over, that's not a whole number, right? If I go 2 over, okay, and you want to start like thinking about, you know, how many that's going to be. Okay, where do we finally get like a good connection with the line? Okay, there's that one. That looks like a pretty good connection. That'd be 4 over, and then, well, the only problem is that's a half, right? So this half thing is kind of throwing us for a little bit of a loop here. So you got to just kind of work with the problem until you find something that actually makes sense. So let's see here. How many over would that be? That'd be 5 over. And then what would this be? That would be 8.5 up. 5 over and 8.5 up. Okay, and this would be, let's see if anything else is a half. Well, let's see, this is 1.5, and then I would go like 2 or 3